What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Snapchat. We are live here on Monday. Finally, we have returned to talk about Ares, a card simple by design, but he might be great. And what else is great is a new era of Marvel Snap. Alex and I are going to talk about the new era ahead, what it might mean, what we want to come from it, and everything in between. And then lastly, we're going to talk about cards we don't play enough. There's plenty of cards that you probably don't play enough, and Alex and I have a good list for you today. We're going to talk about that all today on this episode of the Snapchat. And as always, I am joined by the one, the only Mr. Alex Kocha, and I am just minutes from a couple things. It's late tonight, if you guys might want to know. So late that we can actually tell you who's going to the Super Bowl. It is the Chiefs and the Eagles, although we probably could have made that guess, and this could have been like a week ago, and we'd still be somewhat right. Josh Allen cannot beat the Patrick Mahomes. And, buddy, I am coming straight from my first visit of a chiropractor. Have you ever been to one?
I have, and I know that like there's like some controversy around the general practice of a chiropractor. I mean, I guess people can kind of duke it out in the comments, but like I actually kind of enjoy it. I don't mind it, but like I used to have this chiropractor that was like really soft, and she would just kind of like go like pop, and I'm like okay, and then she'd charge me like $70. I was like, okay, that did not feel worth it. And so I got this new chiropractor that I go to every once in a while, and I told him that, and now he like literally beats me, dude, like for that $70, you know.
First, side tangent, that is me with like all the, if I get a massage and I'm always like, they're like, more pressure, and I'm like, yeah, I could do some more, and then they like take that and they're like they give me like the people's elbow, man. But second, this was my first time. Like I haven't never been a chiropractor kind of guy. I've got a slip disc, and I got it a long time ago when I was a young one on a motorcycle. Got in an accident, and it's always acting up, man. Always messing up. And I tweaked it, man. Bad tweak. And someone was like, you got to go try the chiropractor. It's going to be great. I've only seen those like, I don't have a TikTok, but like the YouTube shorts, you know, of like the guy that's like does the crack all the way up. So I was a little fearful going in, right? A little bit, not fearful. I just like, I don't, it's not often in times you do things that you've never done before as an older person, you know, to call myself an older person, but you know, not a lot of first time experiences. Dude, I was just laughing the whole time because it was so unexpected. Like, he'd be like, you know, put a little counter strain here on your elbow. I'm like, okay. And then just, bro, it was just so much. I haven't had that kind of stuff. I haven't had something pop like that ever, man. He even told me, he's like, that joint hasn't seen air since 2005. Like, I felt it. I don't know if I I still don't know if I liked what happened.
That makes perfect sense, and that is like the prototypical experience with a chiropractor. You walk out, you're like, oh man, this actually like something happened, and then you wake up in the morning and it hurts more than ever.
Dude, I feel it. Like right now I'm like a little bit better, but I also know tomorrow's gonna be like way worse. That's why I'm glad I'm like getting through it now, and then yeah, tomorrow we could not film. That's for sure. But anyway, it was a fun experience. I was watching the AFC Championship from the chiropractor in the corner trying to catch my eye, man. And we got another year of Patty Mahomes, my college quarterback, man. So I, as a Patriots fan, a Brady fan, I'm pissed that he's coming for some of the legacy, but also, man, just that dude's the Michael Jordan.
No, I mean, you can't argue the legacy. He's putting it up for sure. And it's funny because like I actually narrowly dodged kind of injury this weekend. So basically on Friday, you know, some of the guys at work were like, yo, we should play some soccer. We haven't played in the longest time. And we're like, yeah, let's do it, right? And so we booked the field for an hour. I had to bring my kids. So I brought, two of the kids that were there with me. And basically we started playing. And when I tell you first shift of the soccer game, like 3 guys were hurt. I'm not even joking. And I was actually doing pretty good. I felt all right. And then the only thing is like I would come off tired, and I was like huffing and puffing. My daughter's like, why are you tired, Dad? She's like, you're barely running. You're just walking around a whole bunch. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Daddy has not run in a long time. So I went back out, and I don't know if you've ever had this moment where like you're kind of like stuck in the past and you think you can do something. It's kind of like the little Nemo, like you think you can do it, Alex, but you can't. So the ball's like, it's like last 3 minutes of the game, the ball's bouncing out, and I tried like this like bicycle kick type thing to like save the ball. And when I say that, I like hit the ball, I don't even know where it went. B, I thought I blew out both knees simultaneously as I went down. And to the point, like the other goalie walked up to me, was like, yo buddy, are you okay? I was just like rolling around on the ground. So yeah, I I narrowly ended up needing like some severe chiropractic treatment myself.
Dude, I was on a football field throwing a tennis ball with my son the other day as like hard as I could, and like, I had that same thing. I was like, Dad's gonna throw the hell out of this ball right now, bro. My rotator cuff is still screaming. Like I could feel it, trying to get the old slinging arm from the QB days, and it was a little rough, buddy. But we're here now, and we're here to talk about a little Aries, a little bit of new era of Snap. We know what we're talking about over here. Alex, what are we talking about over on your side of the Snapchat? Now, pardon the interruption, guys, but today's video is sponsored by Helix. And yes, I know what you might be thinking. Didn't you just have a sponsor by them? I did. And I'm happy to take another because their mattresses is straight up the best mattress that I've ever slept on, right? When I first took this sponsorship, I had to get a mattress up to my room, get rid of my old one. What am I going to do with an old mattress? It seemed like a lot, but Helix, for one, was well worth it because the shipping was super easy and convenient to get it up to my room. The sleep experience is full stop awesome. Like, I had back problems. Those are completely gone. My wife, the AKA night furnace, all that is relieved. There is no more hot. It's just a nice, good sleep experience is the best way to put it. And guys, it makes it easy. I went online, filled out this little survey here, and the rest was simple. Truly, guys, from their hassle-free money-back guarantee policy to the mattress just being insanely comfortable, this is a product that I can 100% vouch and get behind. I kept my old mattress just in case for a little bit. Like, I might want to put that back on the bed. I got rid of that puppy as soon as possible after a couple days of sleeping on the Helix mattress. Now, right now is the New Year final hour sale, and you'll get 20% off site-wide plus 2 free pillows. That's 2 more pillows than you had before you ordered the mattress. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out the link down in the description. I want to give another huge thank you to Helix for sponsoring today's video and for the mattress. Can't thank you guys enough if you're watching this. And let's go to get back to the content.
Cozy, on my side of the Snapchat, we're going to be discussing Bullseye in review. The card has made quite the splash, and we're also going to be talking about the band compensation that is coming to each and every person that is playing Marvel's Snap. And then, of course, as always, our Snapchat mailbag.
Well, man, let's hop right into it. We have a simple one today to talk about by design, but one that, I think he's going to be pretty good. 4-cost, 6-power card, guys. Aries. You might know him as the God of War in Snap. He's an odd reveal. Compare the power of the top 3 cards, like the Game of War back in the day, of both decks if your total is higher. Plus 6 power. Alex, we got a 412 on our hands, and talk about as niche and narrow of a card, kind of with its synergy, but definitely a powerful one in my opinion. What do you think, man? Let's kick it off with the star rating.
I'm actually super excited for this card, honestly, and partially because it's straightforward. We've had a lot of like really complex, cards come out lately, and that's cool for like the deck design standpoint and everything. But sometimes you just want like something straightforward, something fun. From the trailer, the effect looks really cool. Everyone's played War, as you discussed prior. I think it's a really flavorful card, and it kind of reminds me of Cull Obsidian, where like you could write it off as, that's a simple card. But sometimes simple's all you need to be effective. And I'm going to stick with my 4-star rating I gave it during the preview.
I like that you brought up Cole before I give my star rating, because I feel like I still don't play Cole a lot. He actually might be in the cards I don't play enough. Like, kind of niche. We know he's great. But this is just that little bit better, right? Because he's going to have his own kind of field to work with, but now he's way over the power of a normal, 4-cost card. And 4/6 isn't the worst default. That's what I love about it, right? It's not like an all-in. I mean, it's 4/6 isn't premium, but like worst comes to worst, it's not awful, I guess is the way I'm trying to say it. But yeah, man, I probably am going to say the same. I think in the decks that he's supposed to be in, I think he's, we could say he's like a whatever. Like, he's a great card in those decks by design. And in general, that will probably bring him to more of a 4-star kind of action. And I just like what he does. Again, the flavor fit's cool. Definitely, as far as like a hero, kind of interesting in Marvel lore a bit. Kind of being sometimes villainous, I believe, sometimes heroic, mostly heroic. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see. The problem is I don't play. You know what it is, man? And we'll talk about this when we have I don't play these cards enough. But when there's metas that come out, I used to avoid them pretty heavily, right? And one of those being Surtur, right? Obviously was just like everywhere. So I just didn't play him. And then I kind of like don't play him after that. Like, you know what I mean? Like when Loki was like that thing for so long, I didn't play Loki. I still didn't play Loki because I just like my mind erased it. So I don't play this style of deck all the time. So that has me excited to go back to it. But it's also like not every card is for every person, right? And so like some people find those decks extremely fun. And I think when it comes back to someone like Surtur, who obviously is his most, synergized card, if you will, it's not that I got bored of that style of deck after a while, but kind of, right? It's just like the big power thing, right? So as far as like the fun factor, it's not there for me for Ares, but he's obviously insanely powerful for what he does.
Yeah, like when I say 4 stars, I think it's because, he's going to have like a very clear-cut home in Surtur. And I think Surtur is way better than people are giving it credit for. It's just not seeing play because I don't know why, actually. Because the card was literally amongst the most broken season pass cards we've had in the last like year. And it's been remarkable still. The win rates are still strong. The cube rates are still strong. Yes, they went after they nerfed Surtur itself. They nerfed Scar. They've kind of like taken a little bit off of it, but they didn't like destroy the deck. And with Ares coming out, I think it's a very natural play there, and it's where I'm going to be playing him for sure. And to go back to what you were saying prior about like not playing like certain types of archetypes like Surtur when he first comes out, I did the exact same. Like, I didn't play Loki when he was at the top because that's not why people watch our content, right? People don't want to watch you or I sweating with the most meta deck possible. Like, that's just not... We want to experiment. We're often contrarian for that reason because we want to find some new stuff. We want to experiment with new cards and stuff like that. So, yeah, I absolutely do see that. What I do think, though, is I do think that Ares is going to have like a limited application. It's going to be niche. Like, that's what we expect. But I think he's going to be mainstay in Surtur, and I think that deck is good. And Ares is going to make it better without question. And that's a deck that, honestly, like, for the most part, you're going to be able to, like, win that trade, right? Like, it's the deck built to win that trade with Ares itself.
Listen, all I know is that Scar was, went from okay to good to great, right? This is just such a perfect complement card to Scar. I mean, in every which way, it being 4 costs, leaning into Scar and being able to discount him, at the right time, right place. It being in a deck that complements Scar and all the cards around it, right? I mean, this is one of the most, synergistic cards we've seen with another. And by a large amount. I mean, Scar now requires Ares, right? Every now and then we get a card that comes out and you're like, you could play it, without it like we used to. Right now we don't have Ares. Scar's still fine. But Ares just takes it is going to take it. And this doesn't even need testing to a whole nother level. I mean, just because of the way the deck's going to work.
Is this like the Madam Web for Scar and for Surtur, basically?
Yeah, for me, it's more also just like Red Hulk. We knew that Hela was going to love that back in the day, right? Like, It was like, oh, big power. Obviously, it's going to go into this, and it doesn't need to be tested because that's what the deck likes to have. And this being that 4/6, it's just so nice, man. It's just going to build really well together. And 12 power is crazy. Magneto on a turn 4 level of power is, putting up so much of a defense for that lane, right? Pretty quickly. Obviously, Shang-Chi and friends can do whatever. But, man, I like them.
And it's super fun, too. I think the effect is fun. And there is something worth noting about scouting. Now, you will not be able to see your opponent's cards. However, you can almost, like, kind of insinuate, like, what they might be playing. Like, if they only pull up 6 power, you might be thinking to yourself, if they're not playing Mr. Negative and, like, Iron Man or whatever, these are some weak draws upcoming. Right? And so you might be able to kind of like figure out like how you want to approach those next couple turns based on what those power totals were. Like if your opponent sees you throw up 25 power, they might just piece because they're like, well, this guy's top decking all his meat. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I think that's kind of fascinating too. I think it's worth mentioning.
Yeah. So, outside of Surtur and outside of Scar, is there any other hidden gem of decks that you think that, might want to have this? I do want to say with the new Hela that has come out, being this 4 cost is very interesting there, even though there's already high power 4 cost that might even fit that slot, but I think they could, work its way into that. Any other decks that you like Ares in?
To be honest with you, I was very fixated on having him in the Surtur Scar shell. I haven't actually thought too far outside of that specific shell. I usually do with other cards. Like when I'm kind of doing my first stream where I'm testing cards, I usually have like 4 or 5 decks ready of varying archetypes. But with Ares, I felt like it's like Cinderella's slipper. Like, you know, just put it on the right foot. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but like I felt like it was just perfect inserter, so I didn't kind of like try to push it as far. And I mean, that's a fair question. Maybe I should be thinking outside the box more. I don't know if you have.
I mean, not really outside of the keyword there in on reveal, right? So like you could have a little bit of fun, you know, maybe get what absorbing man, you get another +6. I mean, +6 power is a huge on reveal to happen. And if you won that first roll, you're probably going to win the second, right? And so it's not a bad card to follow up on. Grandmaster, shall I say it? Might as well throw that out there, get him up another +6. Probably not going to do that, but I don't hate it. So, you know, I think Abs Man's interesting because it's not to this effect, but it's kind of like Brood and Abs Man and the fact of like, you know, it's just going to be a typically good follow-up because, you know, in general, with Abs, I mean, it's a little awkward for cost, don't get me wrong. But, well, I don't know, actually. Him being I forgot he's 4-4. So what, does he go to a 4-10? I mean, it isn't bad. It's not a bad play if you know, make him work in some other decks. But this is reaching, by the way, people. The not obvious synergy, but I think it's something that might work.
It's not actually as crazy as you make it sound. Like, yeah, it's not ideal, but at the same time, let's say you play Ares on turn 3 or 4, like let's say you Zav or whatever. Let's say you put up 30 power. You now know you top deck the next card, you know what's left there, +1 random one. So if you threw up 30 last time and you bring in a 5, like a Koye or something, so you lose 3 power off that, you're like, well, man, I can play Absorbing Man. I at least am probably going to get like 27 or something. You know what I mean? So playing him after, you have an indication of how far you could potentially reach power-wise.
And he might not have the downside that, you know, whatever gave you that 30 or whatever is going to have when it comes, right? So maybe like, I don't know, Typhoid, whatever is in that, and you're like, I'd rather just get the 10 power from Absman here. But again, it depends on how you're using the energy. Using it on 5 might not be the best. Maybe you played early though in a 3-4. That's not bad. Playing on turn 3, turn 4. You know, plenty of different things that can happen. Obviously, with Surtur, this just works a bit better too. It's interesting, but I do think just with on reveal, always to keep, you know, our head focused on synergy there.
I think there's something else worth mentioning that like this discussion kind of brings to note is that there are a lot of cards where the power is hidden behind its effect or it's ongoing. So like something like a Doctor Doom, that's 15 power, but it'll show up for Ares as a 5. Then you have things like, I can't remember his name, the Toxic card that goes so vertical. Oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the name of Ajax?
Yeah.
Right? You have Ajax, who could get tremendously high-powered. Gilgamesh is similar, but neither one of those cards is particularly powerful in the deck. Devil Dinosaur, pretty much any ongoing, right? So it is worth noting that like it's the cards with like inherently high stats, like the Magnetos and the Gigantos and whatever, right? That'll really benefit from being in those decks. And ironically, those are the cards that do like to be in inserter decks as well.
Yeah, man. So again, outside of those synergy, I didn't really think about all too much. Pretty simple by design, all in all. So I'm good to move forward with Ares unless you have any closing notes on the guy.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I'll mention is I should have mentioned this before, but technically with a Koye, you can increase the power generation of that duel. You could also consider something like a Cassandra Nova or Silver Sable to reduce their power. So if you want to like lean into the Ares and like, I really want to hit this, if you're not running as many Chonky Boys, if you want to maximize it, Cassandra Nova, Silver Sable will help do that, and a Koye might as well. So those are kind of like on the periphery, but I think they're worth mentioning at the very least.
Like the call, man. Like the call out. Would you say everyone should get it? Some people don't. Wait. What do you think, Gut?
I'll always wait. There's no point in FOMOing on day one. Check out the reviews. Wait till like decks start to get solidified. If you don't play Surtur or if you're missing Surtur, that's another thing worth mentioning. This is a great point of discussion, actually. So even if Ares is great and the primary decks that come out for Surtur, and you're like, oh, I would love to play Ares, but like you see the deck and you're missing like 4 cards, that investment can be difficult. But let's say you're like, you know what? I'm missing just Bullseye from the Bullseye discard deck. So then all of a sudden the investment to get a well-rounded functioning deck is only one card. That feels much more like a thing that you can actually achieve, as opposed to, well, I'm missing Scar, I'm missing Ares, I'm missing et cetera from Surtur. So I think that then the shells themselves, like FOMOing into the car on day one, it could be definitely challenging, because it could be the weekend and all of a sudden the decks have shaken out and you're like, man, I actually can't afford to build the decks that, this card is in. But if you wait till Sunday or Monday when we review the cards, then generally speaking, you're like, okay, these decks that are coming out, like, yeah, I can actually build them, right? Yeah. So I think that's something worth mentioning.
Yeah, and, in general, I would say, we won't talk about everything about the compensation that's going to be on Alex's side. It might be a bit more tempting this week for people to get this because they're like, I got some extra currency. Fight the temptation. It would be mine if it doesn't work. You might want to use that for another card. But speaking of, man, let's talk about cards we don't play. I thought this was just a fun subject of, you guys have them listening. We have them. Cards that you either know they're good or there's a reason that, there's a reason why you don't play it, but you should be playing it more. A good example of this was before it got highlighted a bit more. For me, it was like someone like Speed, right? Like, I knew Speed was good. I just didn't play Speed a lot. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he's boring, right? Is that the factor at hand? Was he just a boring card I didn't want to play? But to open things up, Alex, for me, there's a lot to pick from, but I want to start with Magic. Is it that Magic has fallen? Like, is that playstyle just kind of gone away with a bit? Or is there a lot of reason we're not playing Magic anymore? Are you playing Magic? Because I'm not.
You know what? I would play Magic if I was playing Evo decks, but even then, I don't want to say top Evo decks because that is a weird statement. But the Evo decks that are currently performing well, given they're still not popular, they don't even run Magic anymore. They try to get the Magic done within turn 6, right? Like, so it's kind of sad to think that it hasn't even made that deck. Definitely can be a buff candidate. I think it can go to 3/3, 3/4 probably, and some people might go nuts. For those that remember the beta, you used to be able to play this on turn 6 and completely dumpster your opponent after they kind of it was the better Kang. Magic was a better Kang because you played on turn 6 and you would see their play, their payoff, their fireworks, right? And you're like, oh, that's all you had? Well, hopefully you're ready for turn 7, bro. So Magic hasn't quite it hasn't quite held up. And I think it's also one of those things, it's much like Crystal, who I'm not going to say it's a card I don't play enough, because who the hell would play Crystal? But it's the reciprocation of the effect, which, it's the same thing with Luna Snow, right? Where it's it's cool, but, do I really want my opponent taking advantage of this as well? You know what I mean? And, yes, you build a Magic deck to take advantage of turn 7, but most decks now have enough reach that anyone can play turn 7 generally.
All I know is looking at this variant, I play a lot of Magic in Rivals, and it makes me want Hellfire Gala to come to Rivals desperately. I can't tell you how much stuff from Snap I just want to see in that game, because it's what I love, right? Snap is so much of my heart. And so, anyway, I'm looking at this. But yes, you make a good point. Hit me with a card that you do not play enough.
We kind of alluded to it prior. Erisham. I cannot bring myself to play Erisham. First of all, he's still good now. There's no question about it. However, I think that the playstyle is now, I don't want to say it's bastardized, but it's weird. It doesn't, I feel like it's lost its identity a little bit. I kind of preferred, I don't want to say I preferred old Erisham because clearly it was problematic, but I liked the idea of you play a card, you get extra energy, you get random stuff. And I almost wish they leaned more into that. Make it more draft based. Increase the number of cards, shuffle more cards in. And so when Erisham was popular, I didn't want to play him because, as we discussed before, watching me stream Erisham is kind of cringy. No one wants to watch that, right? So and that's not what I want to do either. I want to cook. I want to have fun. And so I just never played him. And then he got changed over and over again. Now I actually just don't like the card. And not that I don't think the card's good. I think he's fine. I just don't like him because I feel like he has lost his way a little bit. He just doesn't have the identity he did before. You know what I mean? It's why? This card doesn't feel like it fits a niche anymore.
I mean, that's the definition of Alex too, though. If they mess with copycat, he's like, all right, I'm off the copycat train. It doesn't scratch my back like it used to. But what's interesting is this isn't just for meta cards, also popular stuff. For me, and some stuff doesn't hit this, right? Silver Surfer is popular, and I love to play that because you can make it your own. But I find myself some reason just not playing Destroy all that much because it's just. There's just not a lot of ways to reinvent the wheel there. You know what I mean? Do you play Destroy that much? I feel like maybe if I was I get it if I was just an extremely casual player, then Destroy is like such a feel good deck to come in, log in the game, play some, nothing changes, so you know exactly how it's going to perform, right? But it kind of gives me like same with Airsham, what you were saying about that, kind of with Destroy.
You know what Destroy is? It's first of all an incredibly free-to-play friendly deck. Like it's been the same 12 cards for how long, right? Yeah. Like even Misery has found some space, but Misery's being played in like Mill. Like it's not even being played in Destroy, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, like Destroy's been this very consistent, and I feel like people that play Destroy only play Destroy. Like I know I see them on the ladder. It's like the Destroy player, every card's gold, and they even have like identical splits. Like they're all gold with like red Stardust, and then like they all have the gold borders. Like everything is matched, right? And so I respect Destroy a lot. However, it's just not a play style for me. But what you said is absolutely true. Like Silver Surfer, yeah, it's good. It's been consistent for so long. I can't get enough of it because I feel like I can make that my own in a minute. Yep. I can build a Silver Surfer deck like this, and I'm just having fun. You know what I mean?
Hit me with another.
All right, so here's a card that statistically is very high on Untapped. It's always been one with a great win rate and almost no play rate. It's one that, Cozy, I know you believed in on our preview, and then it fell off the face of the earth, and that's Sasquatch. Sasquatch, who is a member of Alpha Flight. Let's go. Member of Alpha Flight, Sasquatch. This is a card that sees absolutely no play, and it's a shame. And I think that we're kind of missing the point here. I think that we're kind of off on Sasquatch. I think this card is good. When you look at it statistically when it's played, it has a very good win rate, amongst the top in the game, according to Untapped, of course. But what I will say, though, is that, like, this type of effect is very powerful. Every time we have, like, the discounting of card power effect, like, this is great. It's very similar to what She-Hulk does, except, like, you have move bounce happening. You have all these different shells that are playing Beast, and somehow Sasquatch doesn't make those. We've even had some shells that had the Moon Girl double up with what's her name? Black Swan. Sasquatch can make those lists, you know what I mean? But he just didn't quite make it. And I think that, like, if people were thinking about Sasquatch, he'd make more decks. That's what I'm saying. I feel like Sasquatch is different depending on different comics and stuff like that. But she can be, like, most certainly a viable piece in the meta, 100%.
Yeah, and it's so funny because cost reduction, I think, will always be good because, simply put, Mobius Triple M is just never worth putting in your deck for the most part. Unless things got carried out of hand like crazy, he just has not aged well for a tech card, right? It's just a little awkward for a tech card, which is what brings me to Shadow King. Like, and trust me, I've been like on and off the Shadow King train for a while. Like, I've been playing him a lot, sometimes not, but I always find myself drifting away from playing him and having him as a tech card in my deck for whatever reason. Like Shang-Chi, tried and true. Man's never left my brain, never left my conscience, probably because people play him against me a lot too. And even on matches against, sometimes, since, I don't even want to say his release because he was really bad when he came out, but since his, like, uprising, he's just always, unless he's getting buffs that he shouldn't be getting, he's just kind of always not played enough.
He's weird because you can't play him on 2. And anytime you have cards that don't play well on the turn that they're like, so like he's a turn 6 or turn 7 play, and that also compromises what those plays look like, right?
I just want to follow up with, that's a good point, because this might be a card people don't play enough if they even have her. Sage, for that exact reason. Maybe. I don't know. You guys are the listeners, you tell us, but I feel like I don't see it. Every now and then I'll see Sage a good amount, but more often than not, no. And is it because of that too? You think it's because people can't play it on that curve? It's just a little awkward-ish?
It is a little awkward. I can totally feel that, but like Sage has been such a key part to like so many different decks, Bounce, even Surfer to some degree. Obviously negative. Sage is insane. Like, I will at 3 power, 3 costs, there are very few cards that can outpace a Sage. Yep. Like, it's actually crazy what this cards can do. And I think you're right. I think it's one of those cards that people can't bring themselves to spend the 6k tokens on. But like, if you unlock Sage, she's absolutely worth it.
Hit me with another.
Can I say Blink? Blink is a card that people have, I think, forgotten existed, but this is a good card, man.
Blink is definitely, I think the only time I've thought about Blink is, I think, in the game show segment you did a couple weeks ago, you mentioned her as like a token purchase or something, and I was like, oh yeah, like Blink was out here. And Blink like took over for a hot minute, obviously in Hella, but even in other decks. What the hell happened to Blink?
I don't know. And they even buffed Electro, right? And Blink Electro is a very natural line. I might, you know what, man? I might cook some Blink. I actually
I
think that
need you
like we're
to.
just not playing this card. It's still good. Like nothing has changed. I don't think Blink deserves a 5/8 boost, like a buff. Like I don't think that's it. I think it's just
No.
like there's so many cards in Snap now that there's going to be cards that people just forget about. And I think Blink's gotten forgot. I might cook some Blink, man. I don't think she's a bad card at all.
I'm waiting for it. I would love to see an Alex cooked Blink deck. Let me tell you. As we close it out a little bit, any other thing? I see Taskmaster, and I'm like, can we make him a 5 again? Any other? I can't believe this guy. This guy took a hit because freaking Madam Web was supposed to break everything. Which actually, I remember. I was thinking Madam Web was one I should mention. Madam Web, just like those tiny mover decks, I want to play more. Definitely cards I don't play enough. But more on the subject of Madam Web, this dude took a stray bullet because of all that.
You know what though? Thinking about what the bounce move deck looks like right now.
That's fair. That's fair.
If you could Frigga the Human Torch and then Human Torch into like something like, I don't know, Human Torch Iron Fist into Taskmaster, that might actually still be broken. But you are right, like it did take a bit of a straight, like, it killed Taskmaster. Like Taskmaster is irrelevant. It saw some play in like the Gore negative decks, but even then it never kind of withstood the test of time.
That's the main ones for me. Outside of Warpath, because I forgot he's always in the game here. Any others to close it out?
I have to say that I find it difficult to find reasons to play Umbaku. I'm not going to go into why. I think it's very obvious why Umbaku. He should just not get drawn. Like, but then again, then he's card thinning, right? So like, I get it. I understand. He's a better Chavez if he doesn't get drawn. I get it. But maybe we do a thing where like if there's no space, maybe he like debuffs your entire board or something. I don't know. Find a way to make Umbaku playable. And I just should say that like generally, I just don't like playing bounce. So a card like Beast, I don't play much Toxin. I don't play much. Bounce is just not my favorite playstyle.
Quick question. Give me 2/1 cost you play the most. Don't think about it much.
Hydration Robert and Iceman.
Okay. So Nico's not on that list for you?
I know what, Nico is not a card I play a lot. No, I don't know why. I feel like I should. This is a great point. Cards I don't play enough. I think Nico would be. And I said Iceman, but I think Nebula has taken that over recently. There was a time I was playing lots of Iceman.
I wanted to bring up one cost because I feel like this might be the cost that is the most I don't play enough. Because you usually fall in love with one. For me, it's Nico, right? And then you don't play the other. So like Iceman, even Spider-Ham. Obviously, Hydra Bob got plenty of his love for a while. But like, you just find yourself like not playing the other ones. There's a lot of garbage ones. Don't get me wrong. You're not out here playing King Ichi, right? But isn't that weird? Like for the one cost, because it's that smaller. Like I'm sure someone out there has a Nightcrawler in every deck. Like I don't know, but it's not me. So I found that interesting because more specifically ones and twos, I feel like you kind of fall in love with the ones you play, and then those are the ones you play, right? The most.
Yeah. Like I play lots of Okoye. Like I have tons of Okoye splits because I just like the card. I like the play style. And talking about the one drops, I know there was someone on Reddit that recently posted. They only play like Rocket in every single deck, and they had Rocket Raccoon with like every variant and
That's
every
cool.
possible split combination. And they posted it. It was actually kind of cool to see. So those types of players definitely do exist, dude.
Well, buddy, let's go into the last subject today, and that is the new era of Snap. Now, whether people buy it or not, that is your decision. But ever since the great lockout of 2025 of Marvel Snap, Second Dinner has vowed to have a new era, and we saw some of that in the compensation that we're going to talk about on Alex's side. But also little things like the web shop is daily, not weekly, and people are kind of feeling like there's going to be other things that kind of snowball into this a little bit. Alex, what is the new era of Snap? What needs to happen here? I mean, obviously, you can tell they, may bring price. I don't even know if the lockout is why they would bring prices down to begin with. I think that's just something that they may have just been finally noticing, like, oh, this isn't going to work. But what else it needs to be in the new era? Do you believe in the new era? Talk to me.
I want to believe. What I will say is that for the first year, maybe two, Marvel Snap felt like Superman. It felt like it could do no wrong. It felt invulnerable. I felt like they thought they were invulnerable. And over the past year, you've seen Kryptonite in the form of Pokemon Pocket. in the form of, Hearthstone releasing new cool expansions. You've seen it in the form of them shooting themselves in the foot over and over again. You've seen it in the form of series drops being terrible, general, kind of public opinion dropping, review bombing, everything that's happened, right? They have shown that they're not invulnerable. And I think that they need to recognize that and step up to the plate. And it appears as though they're definitely trying to.
I think we talked about this a long time ago, and it's wraps the whole point in my head around. I think for a little bit, Snap was like this competitive. It's still, I'm not saying it's not competitive, but it's really not. They need to focus on what we said, and it's, I hate the mantra of it, but like making it fun being that first objective. Like, I think that they lean towards the fun thing. And what I mean by that is obviously if they bring prices down, boom. If they can make card acquisition way easier, boom. But just the majority of the player base now are, the heavy majority is probably casuals that come in, rip a couple games, have some fun, log out, may not even come back for a week, but they have fun. And if you can make that small experience more and more fun through card acquisition, through just play, through game modes, whatever it might be, I think that's what I want to focus on more than anything. OTAs are great. They mix things up for the competitive side of it and for fun, but that's the new era that I want to see. Bring back some of that fun that first 2 years of Superman had.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think that in some ways, like I recognized that a long time ago. Like it's no secret that like you just look around, a lot of people have gotten burnt out in the game, whether it's just the user base kind of slowly fading, and that's kind of expected, but you also have content creators that have felt burnt down. I hit a bit of a wall too, where I was tired. Yeah, of course, man. Like that's human. That's natural. And for me, it's like, okay, well, they're not going to change anything. They're doing their thing. I need to change my approach to how I play Marvel Snap. And that's why I don't grind Erisham or whatever is the top of them. I want to have fun. And if I can find the fun myself, and then, the game suddenly, I see it in a new light. But I do agree that they need to focus on what that experience looks like for the average player. And I kind of go back and I think about like when I was playing Hearthstone, like why did I play? Like what was it that I enjoyed so much? And I remember thinking about things like the PvE kind of modes they released, where like you had like the Naxxramas like event where like you do all these PvE challenges and you'd get cards as part of that set. And it didn't have to be about playing against other players. It was like your own little experience. I thought that was cool. Obviously they have like the Tavern Brawl, which we don't have, like kind of like a different mode or a different way to approach the game. I think you're right, Cozy. I think they need to re-engage with that casual audience and bring the fun back for sure.
And do what they do best. Rivals is going to be the game that people clearly it's the number one game in the world. People are going to be playing that at home, right? Capitalize on the quick, fun. What can Rivals not do? You can't pop open Rivals on the bathroom toilet, right? You can't pop it open on the subway home. That, like, again, the quick snippets of fun. Highlight that, go back to that, and get people back into that. And that's where Snap is going to probably do its best. And on that note, guys, for the Snapchat, we have done, I would say we are probably we lean more towards fun subjects than serious. I can say on my side, I'll be leaning into that even more so, more of the fun side. Always going to talk about the new card. Heck, some subjects may just be about who knows what, to make sure that we're always having fun on the Snapchat too, right? Because listen, we can rank the most competitive cards, but it's just sometimes for me, it's the same thing. And guess what? These 10 cards have been good for a long time. And I want to make sure that we're always giving you guys as our audience, like the best listening and viewer experience. Because, I have a good feeling that when Snap dies, whatever that is, I'll still be talking zoo elephants and everything else in between with Alex Kocha over here. So be on the lookout for that. Could be happening. I don't know how long I've been saying it, but I do plan on doing a channel update. And a lot of that has to come from, it's funny, Alex, I could make very quick, fast content for this game, but when I do, there's a lot of disappointment because of what I've done in the past for this game, and it's tough trying to balance it all and making sure I do the right thing, and whether that's by you guys, the listeners, viewers, and myself. And so figuring that out more, and that's why I'm taking my time before I figure all that out. But I'm still playing, still having a good time, and definitely still enjoying the Snapchat over here with you, buddy. Guys, if you guys want to listen to the insane compensation that Sega didn't wanted to kick the new era off, you can go over to Alex's side. We're going to talk about that Bullseye interview in the Snapchat mailbag. Have a good one. Have a great one. Have a good week, guys. Until the next one. Happy